Hey friends, welcome back to the cabin. I'm Jackie, and my goal is to teach you vintage skills from days gone by that you can use today. And in this video, this is part 2 of our Making Plantain Salve, where we're going to take the infused oils that we made in the last video, combine it with beeswax to create that wonderful healing salve. So let me gather up my supplies, and I'll be right back with you, and we'll get started. Okay, well, you see that I've got all my supplies gathered here, and you can also see that I've already taken the step to go ahead and strain my infused plantain oil into a measuring cup. And what I'm looking for is I need somewhere around a 4-to-1 ratio. It doesn't, if you're a little bit off one way or the other, it's not going to make a huge difference, but we're shooting for about a 4-to-1 ratio. So I've got a 1/4 cup of beeswax from our bees right here. So I'm looking for a cup of oil. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a good squeeze. Oh, we're getting some great oil out of there. Oh yes, and I mean, don't be nice about it. Give it a good hard squeeze. We're actually going to be up to about, I believe I'm going to get up to pretty close to a 1/4 cup, which would be wonderful. A cup would be perfect, but I knew I was going to be a tad bit short with this. My dried plantain absorbed a good bit of the oil, which is great because it was doing its job. It was doing its work, letting it, those wonderful properties steep into that oil. So we're going to squeeze and squeeze. Oh, there comes some more good oil. Okay, so once I squeezed everything that I could get out of my rag, I was just a little bit shy of 8 ounces. So I did just top it off with just a little bit more avocado oil to bring me up to where I needed to be. So now I'm going to take this infused oil, and I have a dedicated pot. It's a Pyrex Visions. I love this pot. It's great for this. I can see what's going on. It has a good pour spout, a pour lip on it, and I can pour into my little jars with no trouble at all. So it's just perfect, and it's a thrift store find, so that made it even better. I think I paid $1 for it. Okay, so now that we've added that, we're going to take the 1/4 cup, give or take a little bit, of the beeswax. We're going to add that, and this is such a simple, easy process, and I so encourage you to do this because you can make some wonderful salves for yourself and for your family. And I do need my spatula back, and we're gonna, not a very high flame, now we might bring it up just a little bit to get it melting, get the beeswax. Beeswax is a slow melter, but I don't want a huge flame on here because I don't want to damage the infused oil that I have. So I'll bring it up to heat a little bit, and then I'll turn it back down, and we'll just continue to melt the beeswax. And also the same thing with the beeswax as far as the heat goes, because there's wonderful enzymes and properties in the beeswax that is good for our skin. So we don't want to damage that with a high heat. So we're just going to bring it up to temp a little bit, and then I'll cut it back some more down to a very low flame. But you can see that making a basic salve, this is 2 ingredients. It's your infused oil and beeswax, and if your proportions are right, and I'm making a mess, I'm getting oil everywhere. If you get your proportions right, it's a great salve. I love simple, I love quick, and I love effective, and I get all 3 in this. 2 ingredients, great infused oil, and it doesn't take very much time, very much trouble at all. So, and a few simple pieces of equipment, and you've got it. You've got a wonderful healing salve. I'm going to break away for just a second because I've got to heat my jars. One thing we don't want is we don't want cold jars and hot liquid going in, even though they're mason jars. The thermo change, the temperature change can cause them to crack and ruin our wonderful salve and the hard work that we've put into it. Okay, you see that I've got a tiny, tiny flame on my stove. This is one reason why I love a gas stove, because your temperature changes are instantaneous as you turn your flame up or down. But you see I've got a very small flame, but my beeswax is completely melted. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to give this a good stir to make sure that it's blended really well. And that looks great. And I love the color. It's just a beautiful green. And so now in our ooh, nice warm jars, careful. We are going to pour up our salve. Now, so I actually have 4 jars out here, but I only needed 2. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't doing the math very well, because we actually had about 10 ounces of oil and beeswax combined, and this is 2 4-ounce jars, which would be 8, but we can go a tad bit more because we're not using them for jelly or for pickles or something, so we can go a little past the headspace mark. So I'm going to go ahead, see if I can do this where you can see it, and put in the second jar. There we go, and I'm going to come pretty close to the top. Same with this one. We're going to get really close, yes, but we're going to make it. Just a drop there and a little bit more there. That is perfect. That is perfect. That is exactly what I want. Okay, so what we're going to do now, because this is extremely hot, we're not going to put our lids on it because we don't want condensation to develop, which, as we talked before, moisture and water is the enemy. It causes mold and a lot of problems. So I'm going to allow these to cool, but I'm going to lay a cloth across them. And when they become completely cool, then I will put the lids on, label, and date it. So, okay, I'm going to show you a little trick that you can use that will allow you to let your salves cool down, but not let your paper towel or your cloth get down into the salve, because we still need to protect them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lay these metal rings on there, not really screw them on, just kind of lay them on there, and this will hold your cloth up where it won't get down into the salve, and allow your salve to cool off but still be protected. Now I do want to remind you that this is very hot, so you want to keep it out of reach of young children or where it might get pulled off onto someone and cause some severe burns, because it'll take it a while to cool off. So there you go. So that was so simple. We just melted our infused oil and our beeswax together, blended it well, poured it into our warm jars. We're going to allow it to cool, and that's it. You've got a wonderful salve. So I'll be right back with you, and we'll talk about a few things. That is a wonderful jar of healing, soothing plantain salve, and it just brings me so much joy that I can take and forage or harvest the plantain and turn it into something that brings soothing comfort to my family. Those little boo-boos and the bug bites and the bee stings, we don't have many bee stings, we've got great bees, but the wasp stings and such as that, it just brings me so much joy, and it reminds me that our Heavenly Father really does care about us, because He's provided everything that we need to take care of our home and our family. But the greatest thing that He provided was His Son. So I want to remind you of this. Don't ever forget that your Heavenly Father loves you. And I'll see you on the next video. God bless.